the VSN Arcade Podcast.
Did I ever tell you what the definition of insanity is?
Minion! Draw the fire with your face!
Not the smartest way to greet the heavily armed group that just kicked in your door.
Head to virtualsportsnetwork.com and sign up for the forums today.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the VSN Arcade Podcast. I am MrBill. Today with us is Joe Alread from the Madden Ultimate Team development group. So, Joe, welcome.
Hey, Billy. Thanks for having me.
No problem. Thank you for joining us today. We are going to be talking today about some new things that the Madden Ultimate Team is doing on the NFL Draft and content for MUT in near real time. So we'd like to give you an opportunity if you'd like to tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, sure, you bet. So we're doing all sorts of stuff this year on Ultimate Team on Draft Night, probably the most we've ever done. So in the past on Ultimate Team, we've dropped a select number of guys on Draft Night, maybe 10 to 20 guys. This year we're doing all 32 first-round picks on Draft Night. They will be coming out. They will be in packs on Draft Night. So we're really excited about that. I think it makes it really cool. We're also going to we're working to have all the guys in packs really quickly. Like we're probably going to release updates in the game probably between every 5 to 10 draft picks. We'll try to get as up to date as we can at those intervals. We'll be doing that via Facebook and Twitter, and letting people know when new stuff's coming into packs, so that they know what's available and when. So definitely very cool, very exciting that people can track who's getting picked and then who's coming into packs relatively soon after that. It's really a lot of fun, and I think people are going to be excited about that. Something else that we've been doing for the last couple of weeks. One of the things people always talk about is, all the smoke screens that are going on this time of year in the NFL draft, all the different news bits, and what one team is thinking about maybe this guy, or another team thinking about that guy. And half the time, it's all just a bunch of lies, because you can't believe anything you read in the paper about any team's draft plans at this time of year. But we have collectibles in packs right now, and like I said, they've been in packs for a couple weeks, that basically represent a number of different draft players and potentially the team that picks them. So, for example, if you think Clowney is going to get picked by the Texans, you would want to find the Clowney/Texans collectible, and then as a result, you would use that collectible on draft night with the guy that we drop in packs that night to get an even upgraded, an even better rated Clowney on draft night. So, it's an incentive to sort of speculate a little bit on who you think is going where. There's big rewards. If you really do think Clowney is going to go to the Texans, you're going to want to track down that collectible item in advance. And again, people have had a couple of weeks now to think about this, what kind of collectibles they want to hold on to. Obviously, there are certain combinations that make a lot of sense. Obviously, your Blake Bortles Seattle Seahawks collectible probably doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Seahawks aren't going to take him, but so there's that exciting element to it as well. And I think those combined are going to make it a lot of fun for people here on Draft Night.
All right. Well, that does sound exciting. So tell us a little bit more about how these cards will become available in the draft. Is this going to be, let's say, for example, let's say Clowney gets taken as number 1. Is that going to be a Clowney card that is going to be available in there, or is that going to be like part of a collectible that you have to unlock to get the card? Tell us exactly how that's going to work.
Excuse me. Well, on draft night, as soon as he gets picked, his player item will go into packs. So it's him as a player. I think that's the question you're asking. So, there's these collectibles have been out for months now, or for about a month. But on draft night, so people who don't really want to get involved in the collectible aspect at all, because that is a bit more in depth. If you're just trying to look for Clowney or whoever other your star big favorite player is on draft night that you're looking for, he'll be available shortly after he gets drafted. So the process is really simple. We'll just be announcing that.
Okay. So each player, as they're drafted, will come out in a pack. They'll be randomly available, like other cards are today.
That's right.
And you guys are going to be working throughout the 4-day draft window?
No, we'll just be working on draft night.
Okay, so Thursday night?
That's right.
Okay. So Thursday night, so for the first round, all 32 of the first round picks will be available soon after they are picked by their respective team.
That's right. And something we'll come around and do the following week. We had a little bit of fun earlier this year with the Ultimate Team community. You know, sometimes a lot of different web communities have, you know, their mock drafts where they'll assign members of a community to their favorite teams. You'll select 32 community members and each represent a team, and then you'll have a mock draft with those community members. So we did that, maybe in February or March, and basically any player who got selected in that community draft that we had with our own players, those guys, regardless of whether they get drafted in the first round or not, will also be released in the packs as well. So that's another interesting aspect, that we will still be releasing players the following week, depending on if they were drafted in our community draft, and we'll be releasing those the following week. So it's not going to be just first round players. There'll be a few add-ons as well. It will really kind of depend on who is how many different additional players got picked in the mock draft that weren't selected in the first round.
Okay. All right. Well, that sounds really exciting. I'm looking forward to seeing how this happens on Thursday night. So, tell us what other things you guys are working on right now for MUT.
Wow, there's all sorts of stuff going on at the moment. So we have our MUT Invitational here, not this week, but next week, where basically we have a select group of players. I think we have 8 of them flying down here into the Tiburon Studios here in Orlando, where players are going to be able to face off on each of the 4 different consoles to play against each other for. Basically, this is our inaugural championship, kind of an e-sport tournament, if you will, for Madden Ultimate Team, and we're kind of excited about it. It's our first time. We're trying to again showcase players who play MUT well and who have supported us throughout the year, and I think it's going to be a good time. We're going to be able to talk to some players, who play MUT on an expert level and get some feedback from them and hear from what they like and what they don't like, and we're able to see some pretty intense competition as well. So that's a big thing really going on right now. And then really at this point of the year, we're really starting to just sort of make plans, start talking about next year and on all that. So that's really at this point in time, that's what we're looking to. That's what is on our plate.
Right. I think the MUT Invitational has been a really cool concept. I'm excited to see how that's going to go with the championships. If memory serves, is not Farrell's in one of the championship games?
I believe he's in one of the brackets. I don't remember which one off the top of my head. But
yeah,
yes.
I had the opportunity to watch some of those on Twitch, which to me that's been one of the coolest technologies to emerge in recent years, is the ability to broadcast your games over the internet for other people to watch. That's always been something that people wanted to do. So I had the opportunity to watch several of the qualifying games for the MUT Invitational, and that was a lot of fun. You get a chance to see just how good some of these teams are, and the work that's required, to go through some of these challenges and unlock some of the special cards. And there's really a lot of work that goes into creating those teams. You don't just it's very hard, it seems like, to just buy the team. I suppose you could, but then you become one of those people that you read about on the internet that spent $30,000 on MUT. It seems like it's much the better path to take is to really dedicate yourself, buy packs when you need to, and really work on those challenges that you guys put out there, because those are some really good cards that you see popping in.
Yeah, and it's also fun to see what types of players people prefer. So, I think sometimes we have an idea of who the preferred players are in the community because, a lot of times when you get into social media or whatever, there's a vocal minority who's always very talking up, well, we think these are the best guys, or we think those are the best guys. But then, when it actually comes down to it and you get into a serious, semi-serious tournament, then you actually see, the truth kind of comes out, right? Like you actually see, the guys who are really trying to win, hands down, they might actually, be like, well, everybody thinks this guy's good, but I think this guy's best because of X. And it's like, oh, well, wow, that's really interesting. It's hard to get that sort of environment right now. It's right now in the community, right? Because we don't really have that voice right now. Really, it's kind of like, okay, you sort of, people, it's kind of like, I don't know what the right word is, but, following the Twitter community, you can kind of get easily wrapped up in getting into the consensus of what people think is the best.
Right.
And I think this goes against the grain of that. I think you'll be able to see people calling out, places where that community might think that, where they might think opportunities for where people will be able to call the community and say, I think you're wrong. I think this is the best guy, or I think this is the best way to play. And I think that'll be interesting and fun to see.
Yeah, I do too. I'm really looking forward to MUT on Madden 15. I've really enjoyed it on Madden 25, but admittedly, I've been more of a franchise guy over the years. But having had the opportunity to interact with some of the EA people this year and more of the community, I said, I really need to give that a try. And of course, it's very addictive. That's one of the things I noticed, real quick is that, as I started trying to work on my team, you want your team to be better and better. So it's one of those, I think, as the game is progressing, I think you're going to see more and more attention on MUT, which I think is going to be a great thing for the community. And certainly like things like that you're doing, like the Invitational, are going to continue to build exposure, and people are going to see that and want to play and become exposed to it. Because I think that once people become exposed to it, you're going to want to play. So.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest things I think we're excited about too with the draft and getting people exposed to the idea that Madden 25 has been out for a long time now. What, almost 8 months, right?
Right.
More than. And we're still doing things for it in Madden Ultimate Team. Like we're still making lots of changes. We're still doing lots of cool things.
Yeah, that's very impressive, and that's certainly a value for for the consumer. Yeah,
and I think that once people see that, that'll get that, like you said, I think there's a little bit of a misunderstanding, not maybe misunderstanding, but people don't really understand what Madden Ultimate Team is. I think a lot of maybe more casual people why do I care about all these different? What am I getting in these packs? Why do I care about all this? What these jerseys, uniform? What is the deal with all this?
Right.
And so, I think trying to get the message out, well, this is all really cool, and just kind of exposing them more to these sorts of events and these sorts of ideas and why this is also very awesome, I think can go a long way in, like you said, just gaining popularity.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's been popular amongst the hardcore crowd for some time, but then the more mainstream crowd, to your point, has been, what is this all about? And, I think more exposure helps to clarify that. And, as people see how, it's relatively easy to start your team and get started. Certainly not easy to complete all of the challenges for some of the higher value cards, but you can build a competitive team relatively easy. And then it's up to you and your budget and time as to how much more you'd like to work on that team. So I think it's got a little something for everybody.
Yeah, exactly.
So, well, I'm very excited to see how this is going to go down on draft day. Where all will we be able to get information on what's happening there at Tiburon in Orlando while you guys are working on this during the draft?
So our Twitter feed will certainly have, we'll be letting the community know about when things are, when our updates are happening and when certain players will be live, will be as option, will be potentially pulled in packs. Facebook will certainly be alive as well, and I think the Made Man feed will certainly be talking as well. I think probably the most ground zero is probably Ultimate Team's Twitter feed. and I think all the other feeds will sort of be echoing what they're doing.
Okay. So we'll look forward to that then. We'll make sure and let everybody know that Twitter feed, and if memory serves, that's at EA Sports _MUT, right?
I believe that's right.
Okay. We'll make sure and have the Twitter handle available and the Facebook handle. We'll make sure that everybody's aware of that, and we'll be looking forward to seeing everything that's coming out on Thursday night when the first round starts.
Sounds good.
Absolutely. Well, we certainly appreciate your time appearing with us today here on the podcast. So everybody, Joe Alread from the MUT development team with Madden, thank you for tuning in, and we will talk to you soon. Thank you.